welcome everyone to yet another exciting episode of Prime Digital Adda. So these days, recruitment and retention of tech talent pool is a big struggle for all organizations. For businesses to scale and grow profitably, the biggest asset and requirement is availability of digitally fluent talent. So, how do large enterprises, MSMEs, staffing companies, and training and placement organizations meet this challenge head on? Very happy and delighted to share that today we have invited a very august panel to have this conversation and to hear from the experts themselves strategies for hiring at scale. Let me welcome Mr. Manmeet Singh, Deputy CEO, V5, a First Meridian company, M. Kala, Head Campus Hiring for India, TCS, Suchita Datta, Executive Director, Indian Staffing Federation, Professor Dr. Sheetal Kumar Adhar Ravandal, Founder President, MTPO, Dr. Kanupriya Manchanda, Vice President People, Infobeans, and Jyotsna Manocha, Program Head, Career Services, NASSCOM FutureSkills. Jyotsna will be moderating the session. Over to you, Jyotsna.
Thank you, Kamna, for handing over the tough job to moderate such expert panel. I just want to start by saying, just as foreign reserves are asset for any country, talent is becoming the new currency. If we don't join hands and solve the need and the global crisis for talent, I have no doubt in my mind that we'll be headed toward war for talent. So I'd like to open up the question with you, Kala. I guess the question is, given that we all keep hearing about the global crisis for talent, we keep hearing that the gap keeps widening and it is still at 21x. Would like to hear your perspective on how are large organizations dealing with this challenge?
Thanks, Jyotsna, for this question. I believe this is relevant to everybody, whether big corporation or a small corporation. I believe whether even the startup firms, everybody are facing this challenge. Talent crunch is something which we all are aware of, especially during the pandemic. What we have seen, in terms of the talent inflow, outflow has been the talk of the town. That's how it has been. But yes, indeed, show must go on. That's how it has been for all of us. And we have tried to ensure that, whether from a lateral perspective or from a fresher hiring perspective, both ways, we keep our, talent search on. And it's not about the right talent, it's about the right fit for the right job. That's more important, because when from our perspective, from my organization's perspective, I have to outline that whenever we release any kind of job vacancy, whenever we are publishing any of the advertisement, we keep getting profiles. It is not like that we are not getting profiles. We do keep getting profiles, but the funnel, from the time a person applies to the time when we are able to roll out that offer, what happens to that funnel from the base to the final output? That's where the crux is there. And definitely, I'm just linking it with FutureSkills right now from a fresher perspective, that, everybody, like when we are talking about engineering hiring from a fresher talent perspective, every student is having that degree, that competency, fine, as an engineer, but what is that additional skill they have, and that's where I believe FutureSkills comes into picture, or wherein the students enhances their, not only from a resume perspective, adding on to that skill, additional skill, but also we are talking about an individual who's applying for a position, who's looking for a role, is able to demonstrate, saying that I have that additional competency which probably your organization needs. And that's where we will be very glad, and I in the current context of what we are talking about, that the talent, the right skill can be made available in the market, provided the students go that one step ahead to enhance their resumes with additional skills, what they can acquire through forums like FutureSkill, is how I would put it as. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kala. So that's good to get a large organization perspective. Kanupriya, how are small, medium businesses dealing with this? And are you facing the same, dealing with it any differently?
So thank you so much, Jyotsna. And as Kala said, I think no industry, no size, no scale is kind of not facing this challenge right now, but always the grass is greener on the other side. Right? If I look it up from our angle, I feel it is much more difficult for us. So especially the shift that you see for bigger players moving into tier 2 and tier 3 cities for hiring the maximum talent, right? So with InfoBeans, we stepping in, we see probably where we were the brand leaders in the city. Right? Today, with we have many of them here from the panel. We have TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Accenture, Nagaro, all of them also operating from Indore as a location. And yet, Indore being the startup hub and startups are, trust me, the best paymasters right now. So there is an equi competition that we do have it, but probably MSMEs, I feel we have a slightly different way to handle it. So probably at I'll share what we are doing at InfoBeans. Probably taken a three-prong approach here, focusing on first expanding your recruitment team beyond the talent acquisition. So it's no more a solo sport. It is a team sport that we all get into. Expanding your extensive referral programs. So starting from offering to hire a referral of 25,000 for a software engineer to 50,000 if you refer and bring on board a project manager. That is where your referral program's intensity is able to attract better candidates onto the portal. Involving your leadership team in all the cycles, whether it is sourcing, attracting, absorption, or even closing, that brings in the culture of recruitment within the organization is something that is needed, because candidates you need to be a differentiator for them. They need to feel that, yes, I am valued in the organization, because today a candidate who's speaking is speaking to 5 organizations in parallel. Right? They feel like, okay, I'll probably be a drop in the ocean. Can that experience be a differentiator? The second prong that we focused on is on building the candidate experience side of it, right? So speed and agility is what candidates need nowadays. So we did walk-in drives, where it was a guaranteed offer within 90 minutes for you. And that is where we could bring it by bringing in your L1, L2, HR round of interviews, all clubbed together into a single round of discussions. Bringing a lot of decentralization. And within 2 days, with 400 applicants coming in, we could roll out 100 offers and have 70% of us join in that. So that is what candidates are also looking. Business always comes up with a requirement that they want it to be fulfilled yesterday. So that speed could be worked out as a differentiator. The packaging of the bonuses that we do in, right, from a candidate perspective, bringing in an experience. So probably a 2 to 7 year experience, if it's an immediate joiner, gets an iPad on day 1 of joining. A 7+ year guy gets a Dubai trip with a spouse if they join us within 15 days. So this is, again, pretty much we end up giving 1 lakh rupees as a joining bonus to a new candidate. Can we package the same thing into a different, which creates an experience? So this has helped us to work out. We tried to form what we call out as a candidate success team. So, which is again non-HR, non-talent acquisition, completely focusing from cross-functional unit, which act as a buddy, as a neutral party. Because the biggest pain for all of our recruitment team is converting your offer to a joiner.
Wow, excellent. Kanupriya, this was very helpful. While I'm pretty sure staffing organizations that are doing 50% of hiring for the industry, they can't afford to give iPads. So Suchita, over to you as to what is your perspective and how are you dealing with this?
I think it's, first of all, thank you, Jyotsna, and the entire team which is setting up this Digital Adda. It's a fantastic idea to start with, and obviously gives a lot of scope for not only for us to deliberate on various issues and what's happening, but I think there is a lot of deliberation that can happen offline as well with the candidates or the people who are joining us and listening into us. I think the first and the foremost thing I would say is that Dr. Manchanda, I think your organization is doing a fantastic job, and I'm sure your dropout rates will be far much more lesser if that continues. But I can understand from Manmeet and me, we are coming from an industry background where I don't think we can have that kind of a situation where we can entice candidates with those kind of opportunities. However, given the fact that, this is a market where a lot of people have the opportunities that are coming their way, and skills definitely are one of the prime area today. So I wouldn't really say that, people are so concerned about the IIT tags anymore. I mean, those are still relevant for a certain levels and upwards of the job, but I think the maximum crowd that today is coming are getting their opportunities because of the skills they are able to not only acquire rather at the initial stage, but how they are able to upskill themselves. The attitude is also a very important aspect to keep oneself to be, continuously upgraded and updated about whatever is happening. IT is a very, very fast moving industry. The kind of technology that is changing globally, and plus the impact of the geopolitical situation that is happening, is also bringing some amount of attention to India. The talent of India is obviously recognized in terms of the way they are able to cater and deliver on the various projects that we are doing. So from every aspect, if we are having a very positive scenario, it's bound to be an employees market. And when it is an employees market and when they have options, they usually tend to, the word of mouth is like, everybody is in the same boat. Unfortunately, not everybody is in the same boat. There would be 1% of the people or other 5% of the people who might be getting a lot of opportunities. But as the markets are changing, skills are the only currency, as you started with. That currency, if you retain and keep on upgrading yourself, that's the only currency that will ensure that you are among that 5% or the moving 5% that will always be in the demand kind of a thing. So skilling is an important asset that one should always have. Staffing industry is somebody who's hiring close to about, I would say, 30,000 people in a week. I mean, just our members, if I were to put the 100 members together. And out of that, close to about 20-25% of the positions are going unfulfilled for the simple reason that we don't have the people in the market or don't have the kind of skills that we are looking for. So one side, there is a hue and cry that, we have a lot of jobs. Other side, we have a lot of people. It's just the matchmaking is not happening properly because the skills are not matching the demands that are coming in the market. So I would say that, overall scenario, both sides, employer side and employee side, individually, they are very different pictures. Putting together, I think that's where the gap is, and we need to fix that gap possibly with the help of FutureSkills Prime and possibly programs like that. So that's what the assessment of the scenario. Over to you, and I'm sure Manmeet will add more to it from a practical experience of the companies that are going through it.
Yeah, Manmeet, would love to hear your insights. I keep hearing the common theme that it's not the jobs, but it's the right fit for right jobs. So how are you capturing this untapped pool? Is it gig? Is it something else? So please share your magic.
So thanks everybody, wonderful discussion. I think talent gap is increasing day by day, as everybody has highlighted. I think Kala also said the same thing, Kanupriya. We're trying to find out ways of hiring, retaining, assessing talent. And I think we need to reinvent ourselves every day because of this issue. A lot of backouts happening, talent is there, but not joining the companies. So alternate sources of talent is something that we all have to look at. And there are, obviously the industries that we have to hire the alternate sources, the gig economy, for example. In the gig side, if you look at India, we had 77 lakh people in the recognized gig workers, and it can go up to about 2.5 crores is what we are seeing by 29-30. So I think it will form a 4% of the livelihoods of the country. Now, when I say IT, yes, IT still has less penetration of gig workers. But after COVID, I've seen that a lot of people, when you harness the talent working from home, there are addition of talent pools like homemakers, the addition of talent pool like retired workforce, student population coming in, UI UX designers being hired, telecallers being hired. We are getting into all these kind of jobs which are never there post COVID, and there are opportunities coming up for the organized gig workers or I would say gig workers who work on a platform-based gig workers like Upwork and all these kind of platforms. So opportunities have been are open now, provided a gig worker also is able to sustain gig work if he is able to upskill himself. Learnability quotient has to go up regularly. But yes, this will definitely go up. 4% of India's livelihood is big, and I think this can be a great opportunity for all of us. I would also say the Uberization of jobs, which I am seeing regularly. Now, what is happening is that various fintech companies have come in the country today. Now, fintech company needs to go out there and add massive population to their applications. There also gig workers are working. Like, for example, small medium enterprises, they also want gig workers. Fintech firms, delivery boys, Zomatos and Swiggies, the toll plaza, fast tags, all these things employ gig workers. It's a great opportunity for people, but there's also an opportunity to upskill themselves and create an alternate source of talent pool. Recently, I was seeing some very deep tech specialists who were actually working as gig workers came to us as one of the example that I was seeing, and they don't want to work as employees. And there are retired workforce who are prince architects level people. They want to do the work at their own pace. So in the technology deep learning and engineering space also, we are seeing that the gig workers who want to take control of their hours and lives, they want to do hourly work, weekly work, monthly work. They don't want to be a regular employee, has come to light now. So that opens up another revenue stream for the staffing firms, for MSMEs, for mid-tier firms and large firms. Need to look at alternate sources of talent which are being created right now. So we'll discuss as we go along in the next question. Thanks, Jyotsna.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I think so far we've heard a lot about the demand, the talent, the right fitting skills. And over to you, Professor Dr. Sheetal Kumar. We keep hearing the demand. On the other hand, we keep hearing India's demographic advantage. Would you like to share your views on how we're leveraging that demographic advantage?
As far as this particular demand and supply question is there, I think yes, there is a demand, but demand is for the right candidates. Right set of skills are required in the candidates, and as fellow panelists said, yes, there is certain gap. But if we see over a period of time, students and colleges, they are also understanding the importance of having more skills, right? So students are trying to acquire those skills. If you see even example of Coursera, during or mid 2019, before Corona, Coursera had about 43 million users. And today, if we see, that number has shot up to almost 73 million. So it shows itself that yes, there is need in the market, and accordingly, this generation Z or generation Y, whatever we call them, they are understanding that yes, if we want to be at the top, as Kanupri also said, that top 5-10% they have to be in, then they will be really in demand. And that's how colleges are also understanding what is the demand. Accordingly, in the supply side also, they are trying to improve, maybe in terms of FutureSkills. For example, they have these 10 different courses. So if students understand what are the future technologies, and they accordingly utilize their time wisely, probably this will be, today we call more population or more students, more supply side is more. So people say that it's a problem. But if we really look at it and convert those particular youngsters into skilled workforce, probably this will be a very advantageous position for us, and we would be able to supply to the world. So I think somehow companies also are nowadays trying to help the colleges. They are coming forward with, maybe because they want deployable candidates, right, as early as possible. And that's how they are also helping. For example, in our colleges also, I know PCET Nutan Group, in our colleges, some 7-8 companies are regularly giving some inputs, maybe up to 70 to 80 hours per semester, and that is really making a difference. So industry also is now understanding that these students are there in the college or supply side is there for only 4 years. They will be there, engineering for 4 years, other courses for 3 years. For a limited period of time they are there with the college, but for the remaining time, for 40 years they will be in the different industries. So industry is also helping, and somehow I think we are moving towards the goal of becoming superpower by different means.
Excellent, excellent. So that's good to hear, Professor Sheetal. We hear you talk about deployable. And I keep hearing this is, every employer wants to shift from employable to deployable. We're talking about the shift from source hire model to train source hire model. So I'd like to hear Kala's and then Suchita's your view on how are you guys dealing with this shift that is required to make your recruitment cycles efficient. So Kala, any thoughts there?
Thanks, Jyotsna. So, with respect to how the entire channel of getting them in, particularly I will be talking more from a fresher hiring perspective. So, when we are looking at how to get them, like your train source hire or hire source train or whatever the way we want to go about it in TCS, what we are trying to do is that it's very channelized. But yes, what we do particularly is that we have this concept of campus and off campus, right? So, whenever we are hiring students who are going to be like right now, our TCS NQT registrations are going on for year of passing 2023 engineers. So that when we are going to hire these students, once they are getting shortlisted, offered and all of that, they are put through Explore learning channel. Explore is a learning channel through which all these freshers offered students are going to go through for good amount of time. So like hypothetically, let's look at a time frame, say from October until next Q1 or Q2, until their exams are over and all, and they're good to be, good for joining. So until that time, they're going to go through this Explore learning channel. And this has been, as the times have changed, this has been replaced with what we used to have earlier called as initial learning program, which was physical training of 3 months in a training environment set up physically. Now, this has been replaced with an online learning, and we are talking about, good 120 hours of training, wherein we are leaving it to the student to pick it up as and when the time permits. And we have exit tests and all of that, which takes care of their learning, momentum as what is happening in those 6-7 months. So here what is happening is that we are leaving it to the students to look at their own as part of a post-offer engagement. We are ensuring that there is no pressure as such from our side, but at the same time, they have their own self-motivation with we hand-holding them even when they're not joined. So starting from that time onwards, they getting into the learning, and basically what we are looking at is continuous learning until the time they're joining. And definitely that is where what you just spoke about deployability, right? We are talking about students who can come and can be deployable at the earliest, rather than not coming in and then training them, then deploying them. That is not what it would be preferred, because even business, as everybody spoke about, business wants deployable students, like deployable resources at the earliest. That's what we are talking about. So this model is working very fine for us, and students are also very seem to be very interested, keen, because there are a lot of exit tests, and that is kind of even imbibes that culture of competition amongst themselves, amongst the offer students from a particular college and all of that. And we ensure that timely progress reports are being sent to the colleges so that they know that where do their students stand and all of that. Now, this is one aspect wherein we are talking about the campus hires, and there's another aspect of off-campus hires, where it is a just-in-time demand, which we year on year we keep looking at as and when the demand comes in from the business. So these are the students who are being offered and onboarded within a month or so, and that's the time frame. What we are looking at is that the hand-holding is done, wherein the second model comes into picture, that we get them and then we train them and then we deploy them. So it is all, Jyotsna, to be very, the landscape, the way the hiring landscape works for us is that it is all need-based, depending on the demand and supply pool, depending on the time of hire, when they are getting onboarded. That is a very crucial factor, that how our training model will work for them and how the right fit can reach up to the project desk. That's how we plan. And this is primarily how we work, so training is either it's a pre-offer or a post-offer, depending on the time of hiring is how I would put it as. And one more just additional point here, just to highlight, there is a probably I would say a myth, a misconception in the market that, we are just looking at engineering hires. That's a very big misconception, I would say, because even today when I go to colleges and when I tell them that we are not only hiring engineers, we are also hiring designs to MTech, BTech students, BCom, MCom, MBAs. So a lot of people are like, oh, really? Like, are you hiring not only engineers? That's how the question comes. So we are there in every stream of hiring is how I would put it as. Yeah. Thanks, Joseph.
Wow. So it's skill versus degree is what you're saying.
Yes.
So skill is more important.
Yes, very important.
So Chitra, your thoughts there in terms of, the employable, deployable model. I think it's very relevant to staffing organizations, and how do you think they are dealing with this?
Absolutely. I think from a perspective of how things have been in the past, if I were to look at why is the model hire, train, deploy is a success for most of the IT companies, because at the end of the day, the projects that are coming our way, the skills are not readily abundant. So it is a better project that, you first pick up the bunch of students, get them to, give them the security that there is a job that can come up your way in case you are meeting the skill requirements. So that way, what happens is that hire, train, deploy has actually worked much better in the past. Going forward also, I think at the end of the day, our education system and the demands that are coming in the industry are still, there is a huge gap to meet. I mean, it's not working hand in hand. So those hire, train, deploy model, apprenticeship model, all of this will somehow or the other patch the gap that is required to ensure that, the jobs are fulfilled and the employment is happening at the rate that the industry is also moving to it, to get it done. At the end of the day, whichever model you pick up, whether it's hire, train, deploy, or train, hire, and then deploy, training is an important part of it. And that's where we are looking at that, when the freshers are being picked up, the first objective that is there is for the companies to ensure that, if there are going to be a amount of requirements that are going to come their way in the next 3 months, 6 months, or about, I don't think we have a visibility of more than about 9 months to 1 year at this point of time. So the kind of skills that are required has to be, trained faster. So at the same time, when they're put on the projects, they are also part of the learning process while they're earning. Sometimes that also is a model that's working. And I would say ITS, while it has a leading example, the other industries as well have a lot of opportunities which are moving. May not be using the word hire, train, deploy, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of trainings that are happening on the jobs, which is, they call it on the job training, etc. But at the same time, employment is a larger challenge, because the numbers that are getting trained today are far lesser that are meeting the demands of tomorrow. So that's where we are.
Wonderful. So, I guess, I keep hearing, while there is demand, there is also a need to train faster, skill faster. Skills are more important. Any degree is okay, as long as the skill is there. So, Manmeet, your 2 cents on, what can organizations such as, government initiatives, programs such as industry initiatives like FutureSkills can really add value to this whole need for employment and training faster?
Yeah, I think, Jyotsna, as everybody has highlighted, platform-based, upskilling and at your own pace skilling is very important, because you see the ways of hiring that we are hiring, all of us, we're hiring about 8,000-10,000 people every month in our organization, but we are seeing that we're aggregating talent and then also getting them, to upskill themselves is very, very important. We are seeing that if they actually go out there and, for example, FutureSkills Prime, you have the latest courses. You have got, government giving you a certification. It's also, backed by major OEM players. It's got incentives for learners. It's got 14,500 rupees as an incentive to being paid by the government. Such a wonderful scheme to upskill yourself, and that gives you a badge which you can share, obviously, with your friends, colleagues in your colleges. And I think that this is what is required to motivate this generation to, to focus on learnability, because that is only going to be, then they can sustain their jobs. Because, as Dr. Sheetal was saying, once we're going to be 40 years with the industry, they need to get used to the learnability quotient going up, sustaining their jobs later when they get into the job market, and they have to keep upskilling themselves. What better than this FutureSkills Prime or any other upskilling, which they do, where you are getting a certified badge, you're also getting, recommended, by the government, by the industry. I think this is the most important thing that people they have to look at, and especially for companies like us who are hiring such a lot of talent. We also look at, as recruiters, we have been recruiters for such a long time, looking at the willingness of the person, the skills of the person, the employment readiness of the person is the most important thing that we look at. And when you see certifications on the resume, and it also adds on to the guy who gets selected, and then obviously selection to joining. So that's everybody's pain point right now. And I think colleges need to understand that they have to make themselves more visible. Students need to make themselves more sellable, and all this thing can happen while they upskill themselves on the platform like this. So FutureSkills Prime is the way to go, I would say, if people take it seriously and really put their badges on online LinkedIn and also on various other places where they are. Social recruiting, for example, half of our ITES jobs is closed from social recruiting. We never used to go to Instagram account or Facebook account of a person to see what kind of post he or she is doing. Now, these days we do that. The recruiters go to Instagram, Facebook, and see what kind of personality does this person have. So the students not only need to look at their professional profiles or a candidate, I would say, they also need to look at their social recruiting profiles. We are going to be seeing the job fairs are going on, AI and VR headsets coming in, metaverse coming in. Job fairs next 2-3 years will be all on metaverse, let me tell you.
Absolutely.
And if you do not create, and everything will be linked to your social profile, professional profile. If the students and the colleges need to understand this right away, so if the colleges need to have making sure that the students are standard profiles being onto their social profiles, professional profiles. So when the recruiters go online, they see these kind of things when they recruit people, and this is going to be more and more eminent in the near future. So I think future is bright for the kids, provided they get upskilled and also show it to the world that this is what I'm trying to do. And what am I trying to do when I'm on summer vacation or I'm doing summer internship where I did my robotics course or a robotic process automation course? That gives the recruiter the confidence of why I should hire this person, because he has got learnability skills.
Wow. So, it's amazing to see so many different models, and each one works differently. When we talk about hiring at scale, programs such as mass scale career fairs, programs such as top up skilling, as Dr. Professor Sheetal mentioned, on top of college degree or along with the curriculum. So I'd like to, and this is open to all, whoever can pick this, as to what's the right model. How do we hire at scale? Is it career fair? Is it talent connect portal? Is it, social hiring, metaverse, some secret that we as, FutureSkills and NASSCOM can add value to bring that talent and the candidate, the talent and the demand together?
So I'll take this because I was part of the online job fair that you did, and I saw it very successful in April. For example, 30,000 people, came on to this job fair online. And imagine you have not to travel anywhere. You have employers on the web. You have employees coming, the candidates coming on the other side, and you can see the 30,000 people coming on in an online job fair. The logistics are so convenient. So I would say talent connect portals, recruiters putting their jobs online, and as well as getting them on together onto a virtual platform and interviewing becomes very good. I would say hiring at scale kind of an initiative when you're doing fresher hiring or doing entry-level hiring. Obviously, the traditional techniques of recruiting will always be there, but more and more larger companies are using tools which we're also using. We're using assessment tools for technical hiring like HackerRanks and all. We're also doing gaming and hackathons. And I can see FutureSkills Prime also doing these kind of initiatives a lot, that is attracting candidates as well. So I would say that hiring at scale would be more or less, online job fairs, online campus drives. You will see digital assessments happening. What we also have assessments happening on FutureSkills Prime as well. You are seeing bot-based screening, which is anyway happening these days on WhatsApp, and chatbots happening and hiring people on at scale. So AI, VR, I've already spoken about on how it happens. And the last thing would be how you give a candidate an experience when he comes to you for an interview, and what the experience he goes through as from the employer's perspective, from the day he takes an interview to the day he gets a job offer. And because it's a talent-driven economy, my fellow panelists also highlighted this. Talent-driven economy will, the talent will only join the employer which he would like to, and that experience that employers have to give to him. So I think from both the sides, can be a great bridge. But FutureSkills Prime, for example, is doing all these online job fairs, which I'm very excited about. These can really connect all the people to jobs. So we ourselves participated, and still we are going through some of these profiles. And because we need to hire a lot of scale right now, if you hire scale, you need to go online. There's no other way.
So I think we together go to metaverse next, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jyotsna, I would just like to add upon a point here. So I'm talking from a context of future skills coming into picture full-fledged. And if suppose you say that, I'm just giving a hypothetical scenario, how I envision that how the future for our hiring at scale could be. So if suppose you say that, there are X number of students who are future skills certified in a given technology, So what we are able to do is that as a large corporation, we have been doing that, as you would have heard, and I've been talking about it in various forums, that, we had 100,000 plus trainees onboarded in TCS last year. So when we talk about that kind of number, so how we could do this is because of our in-house ability to get this done through TCS Ion, and that's our test partner. And if I have onboarded that kind of number in TCS, with that, you can imagine the funnel, how it would have worked from the starting from the applicants who registered to the number of students who would have gone through the test process, from number of candidates who had to go through the interview, and finally coming to the offer stage and all of that. So if suppose in the given hypothetical scenario, future skill certified students are there for a given technology or technologies, because we have opening in almost every skill you can talk about. So all these students can be taken together. So number cannot be a problem for us. That's what I'm trying to say. So in case if you say that 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 students have been skilled on a particular skill through FutureSkills, our organization has the ability to look at these students, because the kind of technology, which even the initial video which showcased the kind of technologies on which you are going to train these students, it's something where every business, every project wants these students to be onboarded at the earliest. They would be more than happy, more than glad to see them onboarded. So the companies, whether Manmeet, me, or we all panelists especially from the industry, if I have to speak about it, wherever the skills are present, getting them onboarded through a set process is not a problem. That can be mobilized, that can be done at ease. All we need is that, where are those skilled students, those skilled the individuals, where are they? That is the question what we have in mind. The moment you are able to show us the direction that, this is the pool what we have as NASCOM FutureSkills, I think we will definitely be able to mobilize that pool towards our hiring process. That shouldn't be a problem.
I think
Thanks.
just the last moment there. So very true, Kala, and I think we could do fishing only when there are some ones to catch in. So, and especially areas like blockchain, Internet of Things, RPA, which are those future skills. I think the most popular programs that are running across. Here, freshers, you do not really have even a beginner level of knowledge. So this is where, from the entire pool, even the virtual job fair when we were a part of, the blockchain pool, the people who could show the certified badges actually added a lot more value. So I think the focus where FutureSkill is on the 10 technology areas, it is the real future. And the more we can bring it into an advanced level of certification, say for example, it starts jumping into technologies like Salesforce or ServiceNow, I think that is another pool segment where we further can expand into. So what we are doing is great. We can definitely bring scale. And these are those areas where we could expand in.
Interesting. So, any pet colleges, Kanupriya, that you hire from? Because I keep hearing from Kala that there's a national qualifier test and we no longer go to a college. But do you have that secret sauce that you'd like to share?
Uh, I would say there's no secret sauce. The entire vision through which TCS National Qualifier Test came into picture from 2018 onwards is basis the fact that talent can be spotted anywhere. As far as the student has the competency, they have the way to get into TCS. That's what we are talking about. So given that aspect, what we are talking about here is that. With TCS National Qualifier Test, not a college, but definitely there are certain colleges with whom we have tie-ups for a certain reason. It could be for a specific skill or specific courses, because we have a very strong academic interface program run by TCS. So we call it as AIP, and it's a very strong and perhaps the oldest one in the industry right now as far as our AIP is concerned. So we have a lot of long-standing relationship association with various colleges, which we have been running over the years. So keeping that in mind, of course, we do have certain colleges, but what I'm trying to say here is that as far as the obtaining the pool, the floor is open across. So any college, any student can apply from any recognized university. As far as they have the competence, they fall into our eligibility criteria. That's one important aspect which I would talk about. That yes, we do have a certain eligibility criteria at a fresher level to induct them in TCS as part of the hiring process. So they have to be part. If they're falling into that criteria, they can definitely apply and they can try their luck with TCS. And we do have a set process, as you know. TCS NQT test is the first step. From there on, it starts with whether they're getting shortlisted for the interview process and clearing that. And one more very important aspect, Jyotsna, which probably the audience here would be interested to know, or they would be already aware. But yes, we have already launched, we are already into our TCS NQT registration process for 2023 year of passing. And we have launched TCS NQT integrated test pattern. So until last year, we were looking into, Ninja, we used to call it as Ninja offer and digital offer, two different categories of offer. The differentiator was the role and the package both. But what we have done is that basis the feedback which we got from the academy. So that's where, and that's where again, FutureSkills, I'll bring it into the picture, because all this feedback which we keep getting from NASCOM, from the academia, from our own project teams and all of that we need to look at and integrate. We giving them an equal opportunity, whether they can bag a Ninja offer or a digital offer, so that's the ability of a student to get which offer, whether the both, as I said, role is a differentiator here as well as the package, so keeping that in mind, with one test, with given one test, whether they are able to get which offer is now in their hands. So that is one of the differentiator what we are talking about for this year as a TCS NQT process. And when we are saying that this process is open for colleges across India, that means we are giving equal opportunities to all the students across. And once they are shortlisted, once they come in front of the interview panel, what is important is that this is fundamentally a practical problem which we have faced over last 2 years, specifically from the time the pandemic had hit. Lot of training programs, lot of online training, certifications, everybody enhanced their resume very well, saying that I've gained these 2 certifications, 3 certifications, and all of that. But once they are sitting in front of a panel, when a panel questions them that can you give the what can be the application of this certification what you have obtained, students go blank. It's that is not enough. Doing an online course and just adding that into your resume that I'm a cybersecurity certified student, or a blockchain certified student, or a AI certified, machine learning certified, it's not going to help them, because the person who's going to take them, like the panel who's interviewing them, is well aware that again, the very important point what I'm trying to bring here is that despite our numbers, the quality cannot be compromised at any stage. That's why it is very important for the students to understand that whatever they are writing in their resume, or whatever they speak during the interview, it's very important that they are able to demonstrate that with live examples, in the sense, in case the panel is asking that this certification give me a real life problem where it can be applied and a solution can be obtained, they should be able to answer that. They cannot go blank and just say, no, I did some online course and I got certified, I did 40 hours of training or whatever. It is not going to help, because the people who are sitting in front of them are senior enough, been in the industry for long enough to understand whether they are just saying it for the sake of it, or really they meant when they did this certification course and all. And that's where I believe, again, I'm going to bring in FutureSkills into perspective, because we are already getting into an association with you specifically for Salesforce, which we have already started, and we are going to look at other skills as well. So it's very important that the students understand that why is that need of that certification. As Manmit had rightly put in, it's not about obtaining that badge, but to understand the technology and having that competency developed to get into an organization. Hiring at scale doesn't mean that we will just hire just because a person is certified. That's not going to happen, and that is never going to happen. That's why it is very important that they understand the importance of a certification, of a learning. Learning has to be continuous, agreed, but that learning has to come with the real understanding of why that learning has been obtained in additional to what they have been doing in their regular curriculum. That is very, very important. As Sheetal sir also mentioned, the colleges also now understand that what is the importance of having these additional skills which are industry relevant. So whatever future skill is today curating in terms of the certification and the training, the students need to understand why they are enrolling and how it is going to help them. As I said, we will be more than happy to welcome students who are getting certified through FutureSkills, provided they're able to exhibit that skill in a real manner, in the real way. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think this was great. Professor Sheetal, I think we heard everybody talk about how important skills are and how important it is to demonstrate those skills. So I'd like to hear your views on how are TPOs and particularly for you, it is not one degree versus the other as head of the TPO organization. What are your views as to what are you doing differently? What can we do differently in the future together when it comes to demonstrating those skills? Or is it career fair? What is it in your view?
Yeah, Josna, I think the career fairs are helping us a lot. In fact, every TPO tries to push the students as far as skills are concerned. He requests them to acquire some additional degrees along with one degree. I think UGC is also now highlighting that you can go ahead with one online degree also. So here, people like you, NASCOM, FutureSkills, and other people, you can come into picture and can offer that extra degree. Many students are looking for it, and maybe as far as our Maharashtra Association of TPOs is concerned, we also keep on conducting many pool campus, off campus drives wherein the students from across they can participate. And as Kala ma'am said, that students from any corner, even though they are not privileged to have admissions in maybe tier 1, tier 2 cities, but still if they have guts, they can get the knowledge and they can acquire the jobs, they can grab the jobs. And specifically, I would like to thank your team, NASCOM FutureSkills, because the career fair which you conducted, in that career fair, our association also tried to bring many students on board, and many of them, thousands of them, could get the job opportunities, and remaining students who are maybe they lacked some skills because of which they may not got the jobs at that time, but yes, due to certain opportunities like those 10 skills, etc., probably they will join such courses, and in future they will definitely take the advantage of this kind of additional benefits, because TPOs are bringing the companies, some of the companies they are in touch at their colleges, but your teams, there might be some other players, platforms, as Manmeet sir said, that HackerRank, LinkedIn. So these are other sources through which they will get more number of opportunities, and students have to continuously update themselves. And people like us, our association, we are always ready. You let us know, NASCOM, FutureSkills, as well as our association. There are some other TPOs also from across the country who can contribute, or who can take this bunch of students to you and can say, okay, these are the 10 different buckets or 15 different buckets, and we can put our students right from second, third year into those buckets of blockchain or maybe Salesforce or whatever are the industry needs. And probably we would be keeping them ready before third or fourth year. I think that hand holding will definitely play a major role, and we will be ready to help NASCOM as well as our students to get through.
Wonderful. So I think this is, I'm glad that, the integration of curriculum with skills is how you're looking at this. Now, given what Professor Sheetal is saying in terms of what, as a supplier side can be done, any views on, are employers willing to go to second, third tier cities, open their offices there to really go into that untapped pool? Or any other sources of hire that you are looking at? Maybe Suchita, you can chime in from a staffing perspective, and Kala from a opening office perspective.
See, pin code favorability, I think, is always going to be a concern, because wherever we are, we would prefer that our jobs are nearby. At the end of the day, I would say pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, the world of employment and the way employment was seen has changed a lot. Earlier, where there was a lot of constraints that, you had to be present in the physical form in the office, and to be able to join office, you had to be in a particular city, which may needed you to travel to away from your hometown, away from the pin codes. And those were possibly the larger concerns where, jobs were not being picked up, or there were a lot of dropouts or a lot of no-shows happening. Today, I think with the hybrid work culture, that problem is solved. Plus, the factor is that, most of the large organizations also feel the need to be closer to the employees where their maximum talent is available. So we do see a lot of opportunities going to, and I'm so happy to hear that Indore has got so many offices that have opened up. I mean, 10 years back, who would have thought of that of Indore, but talent has always been abundant over there. Similarly, if I see West Bengal has been another, state which has attracted so many of the IT companies to come and open offices, because a lot of talent was going from West Bengal, from Odisha to the southern states. Now it is not so much of a mandate. So I think from the perspective, yes, Tier 2 for sure will be attracting a lot of companies coming into and opening offices at the locations where the talent is available. At the same time, hybrid is also opening up a lot of opportunities for people to not move physically and yet be able to perform a job for the desired organizations that they want to work with.
Wonderful. And
Great.
Kala, is that how you're seeing it in TCA?
Okay, I was just jotting down the city names, okay, quickly. Guwahati, Jamshedpur, Varanasi, Patna, Coimbatore, Indore, Lucknow, Nagpur, Ahmedabad, Bhubaneswar. We are present in these cities, and few of the cities we have been present since long, at the time when IT was not there, not being thought about as not the conventional cities where IT would be present. We are existing in few of these cities since then. And of course, all the names what I've taken are the cities where we are present. So the one important aspect here is that, again, relating it to the pandemic, the work from home situation, and all of that, what we are all facing, the advantage of when I talk about my organization, the way I look at is that when we roll out offers, the students are given the flexibility upon offer acceptance to select the city, their preferred choice. And when I say choice, not one choice, choices, location 1, 2, 3. So out of the list of TCS offices across India, upon offer acceptance, they have the choice to look at whether they want to go to a Jamshedpur or a Patna or a Coimbatore or any other location across India. So what this happens here is that the students would want, those who would want to be nearer to their hometown and all of that, or within the vicinity of their state and all of that, that facility, that provision is also given by us. And this is how relating it to the question where you asked about that, how we are trying to tap the pool from tier 2, tier 3 locations. This is how we are already into this space wherein we are giving this flexibility. You heard about Indore office, already Kanupriya had mentioned at the beginning of the call also that, she has been seeing TCS office existing there along with many other IT companies there. So what I'm trying to say here is that from a ecosystem perspective, that, there is no we are not in a race to get students all to metro cities. We are not, because our presence itself is so wide and spread across country that we are giving this option, in fact, to students. And the best part here is that I can tell you that, majority of the time, most of the time, we are able to honor that location 1, 2, 3 preference choice, the preferred choices given by these students as where they would want to be. So this also helps us in our joining ratio, and this also helps the students that where they would want to see themselves being settling in as part of their career kickstart. So these are the various ways, and definitely tier 2, tier 3, not only from offer, what I spoke about is post-offer acceptance. I'm even from an engagement perspective, Jyotsna, this is a very important point for the audience to know that, we have our youth employment program, a CSR initiative wherein our CSR team goes. We are supporting various government institutions, trust colleges across country, and wherein we are looking at specifically tier 3 cities and others, wherein we can go and look at these cities. And that's where I would want to recommend FutureSkills to our team to take it forward to these students, because there's a lot of handholding which is happening for these tier 3 location students, wherein the projects themselves want these students to be onboarded, because they know that these students are the ones who will be able to, from a perspective of joining ratio to the commitment part of it everywhere, these students would be the right fit, because a little bit of handholding probably that, because I heard Sheetal sir mentioning about it, saying that a student from any location would be more than happy if they have the ability, the competency to crack through the process. They will be given an opportunity by the industry, and that's where we stand for. And we have a very strong network across country, and definitely this will help. And if FutureSkill can have that, if they can bring about these abilities of these students from tier 2, tier 3 locations, nothing like it. It's a perfect combination of, industry and NASSCOM coming together in terms of upskilling these students from tier 2, tier 3 locations and bringing them on board for all of us. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I know we are on the hour, and that's why I see Kamna pop up. So really quick, I think one thing I just wanted to, one last thing, Suchita, if the ideal vision that we want to be is if somebody has done a FutureSkills course or certified, is that something that you guys would be willing to look at from an interview perspective?
Absolutely. As I said, there is 25 to 30% of our jobs going unfulfilled. And since staffing industry is the one which is catering to not only just the bigger companies, but there are a lot of startups. There are across the country, I think we have open positions. The amount of interviews that we do, you will be surprised. We do close to about 1 lakh interview per week among our members, which means that we need at least 5 lakh of people that we need to churn and meet and source, so which is a huge demand that our industry has. And I'm talking both IT, non-IT, not just the IT companies. So from that perspective itself, I think, and I'm 110% sure, and you know how I'm chasing your team rather to have the talent portal up and running, because the kind of students that will come out of this course are going to be much more employment ready. And we are 110% sure interview is for sure. And I can possibly also take a personal opinion and say that there are the good chance that they will all get employed very soon. Unless it's a choice that the employer and the employee makes because of the location and other aspects, I do not see a situation where a trained candidate that's coming out of FutureSkills will not get a chance to have a couple of interviews, not just one interview. That is for very, very sure. I can guarantee that.
I think very relatable, Suchita. And just to share, so tier 2, Infobeams opened its office in Baroda this week. So this is predominantly the push for the tier 2, tier 3, and early career professionals honestly are very flexible. 0 to 5 years, location is not really a constraint. But for experienced people, these tier 2 and tier 3 cities are a real big market.
Yeah. Jyotsna, sorry to interrupt quickly. Vadodara is already there in our list. I just want to let you know that I missed that while I'm stating my city names.
Wonderful. Thank you. This is a topic that we keep going on, and I know 1 hour is not enough. So with that, I'd like to wrap and really thank you all for some wonderful insights, thought-provoking ideas, some lots of actions, and we will be publishing a blog based on the views we just got. Kamna, over to you.
Thank you so much to all the panelists. Very interesting insights. So learners will be happy to know that recruiters are looking not only at their LinkedIn profiles, but also their Instagram and Facebook. So if you are upskilled in emerging technologies, show it on social media, demonstrate your skills to increase your chances of hiring, develop learning agility during your 4 years of academic, while you're pursuing your academics, so that it keeps you in good stead over your 40 years of career. Excellent. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us. We will be in touch with you for more initiatives. So please do keep tuned into to us. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you all.
you.
Thank you
Let's
so
do a
much.
lot more action. Thanks.
Thank
you.
Everyone, bye-bye.